After I thought about it for a while, I need to change my answer because I said that I didn't think that sloth or laziness was a sin. And I felt that way because I feel that when you're being excessively lazy, or when you're being lazy to the point of when you're sinning, I think it's more of a sign of a problem instead of a sin. I really do think that that is true, but I guess the more that I think about it, I realize that without action, everything is just thought. It's just in your mind. You cause yourself you cause yourself problems when you only think and do not act. And the problem that you cause is you never really fulfill your life's purpose because you don't take action on it. And the reason that you don't take action on it is because of being unmotivated, not wanting to move, not wanting to start doing the things you need to do to make your thoughts become reality. And the reason that's a sin and not just kind of a shame because you kind of left out your own opportunity to grow, the sin of it is that you're not really fulfilling what it is that you're on this planet to do. Because we're all put here for a reason, whether that reason is to put love out into the world and let people know that there is a force of good for everyone. It's a real important job, especially these days. Or if it's because I have to say, I feel kind of like an imposter. Like, who the hell am I to be able to go out and put some videos out there saying that I'm speaking for God? I feel like a fraud, even though I know I'm not. In my heart, I'm not. In my heart, I know for many, many years, probably my whole entire being on this planet, the entire time I've been here, I've had the luxury of really having a strong idea of what is good. And so I've always kind of felt in my heart that it's my job to project good. I want kindness and softness and sweetness and understanding and lovingness, loving each other, you know. I want the people that are around me, the animals that are around me, the vegetation that is around me to understand that I want them to feel love. That's how I feel my job is in this life. That's my purpose, is to be loved, because that's what I've always felt inside. And that's a particular thing specific to me that I've struggled with because it's painful. Because many times I have felt in my life the need to support or love other people, to project that, to have that, wanting to give that, and then I did not receive it back, and then I always thought that I did something wrong. It took me many, many years to realize that there's a lot of people that don't even understand what it is to be loved. They don't know the feeling. So if you're giving it, they don't know how to receive it because they've never had it. So when I was talking about the subject of sloth, that was the one and only thing of the seven deadly sins, excuse me, of the seven deadly sins that I believed was not actually a sin, because I often in my life have experienced the feeling of extreme laziness where I can't function too well. And usually those times in my life, it's when I'm having a conflict within that I can't really function without. And that's when I'm being lazy. So right away I'm like, no, that's not a sin. That's how I recover. You know? It's not a sin, it's a sign. That's what I said, a sign of something bigger. And I do stand by that. I do still believe that. But I think the reason it was listed as a sin is because it's kind of tied into the subject of pride. It's when you take such pride in your way of being or your skills or your looks or your wealth or whatever it is, your job, whatever it is you feel extraordinarily proud about. There's nothing wrong with that until you start to feel so proud that you don't think you need to act or change or bend or see the other point of view or the other way of being. Because when you get so stuck in your own way, you become blinded and bullheaded, and you limit yourself. So when it gets to the point where you're limiting yourself so much, you're kind of isolating yourself in your own value or your own preciousness, which everyone is valuable and precious, but not to the point of exclusion. When you, okay, let's say you are extraordinarily good at playing the piano, okay? And you have just such an extreme talent that everyone is like, everyone you meet that hears you play is just astounded at the glory of the beauty of the way you play the piano. So throughout the years, as you've gotten responses of other people telling you how wonderful you are, you start to believe that you are wonderful, which there's nothing wrong with believing you're wonderful unless you believe that you're so wonderful that you're better than other people. Because when you reach the point when you believe that you are above others, then you're at the point of pride where it's a sin. And the reason it's a sin is because everyone is equal. I know people have a really hard time accepting that. We are all equally loved by God. We are all equally valuable as human beings. We are all very flawed, though. And a lot of times, the flaw that we have is we don't temper how we blow ourselves up with pride with being having humility or being humble and saying, you know, I am a great piano player. It is true. I believe that about myself. It's a God-given gift I have. I love sharing my talent and the beauty of what I can do with other people, and seeing the reactions makes me feel joy. There's no sin in any of that. That's a beautiful thing. It's one of the best things in life, to know that you can have something that you can share with other people, or you have an ability that other people don't have, or if you have something that's of value to humanity that you can share, that's a beautiful, wonderful, life-affirming thing. You're only sinning when you let it spiral out of control, when you let it take over your belief that we're all equal, we're all the same, we all have the same talent within us. It's just they're different talents. So where one person is a wonderful piano player, another person is a fantastic mathematician or a brilliant scientist or a person that really understands people and can help them, or a brilliant cook. Whatever your talent is, it's meant to be shared with the world, and it's meant to give you joy to be able to do the thing. You just can't bring yourself to the point where you're, if you recognize it within yourself. See, that's the problem, is recognizing it within yourself. When is it spiraling to a point where it's now a sin? You see, it's so funny. I've been thinking about this topic for quite a long time. There's been a lot of other stuff going on in my life, and I keep kind of coming back to want to talk about this, and then I think of 8 million other things I want to talk about. It all gets cluttered up in a log jam in my brain, and then I don't speak at all. You know, it's one of those things. I did realize that pride was a factor, even though I thought that I was writing my book out of pain. It was true. It was trying to balance my life. It was trying to lay everything out so I could dissect it and see, why do I feel the way I feel? How can I make my life better? I want to be a happy person. So I started kind of looking back at my life and then decided to write the book that I did the videos about when I started my video series. I was being prideful, and I didn't realize it. It took for a while for me to kind of look back and say, you know what? I think that's what happened during the relationship that I referred to. And I was talking about, many relationships I was referring to, with my family, with romantic partnerships, with job opportunities, and how I recognized by looking back, so that there was value in looking back, definitely. I'll never tell someone don't ponder your own life. It's of great value if you look at it with an objective eye. And the reason I say with an objective eye is because it's very hard to be objective about yourself. It's hard to see the bad parts, Everyone wants to believe that they're good, that they're a force for good, that what they're doing is good, that how they're acting is of use. No one wants to look at themselves and say, oh my God, I really messed that up, or I really screwed that guy over, or I really made things hard for myself. But honestly, unless you look at those things, you're never going to move forward in life. You're always going to be staying stuck in a cycle of, I did that, I did great, why did I not have a good reaction, or why didn't people see it the way, I intended for them to, or, whatever your personal glitch is that gets you caught up in the pride kind of cycle. And it is a cycle, because it becomes kind of a drug when you have a talent or an ability that other people don't, and they look at you with some kind of reverence, like you should know something that they don't, or you have something that they don't. If you play on that vibe and believe it too, you're gonna crash. And the reason is because what I said is, we are all equal. We all have talent. We all have something to give. It's something you can feel good about, but it's not something that you should hang your hat on. And so when I was talking about how I think I was committing the sin of pride in writing my book, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm so wonderful, oh, I'm so great. No, it's because I was talking about something called being codependent, okay? And I didn't realize that much of the book, I was still being codependent. I was just slapping a really nice shade of pink lipstick on top of it to make it look pretty. But no, my whole book was codependent. I was still coming with that viewpoint of, what can I do to change myself to make you happy or feel better? It was just said in a different way. but I was still practicing the same kind of detrimental mindset even when I was uh, speaking my book out loud on a video series. You'd think I would have caught it. No, I did not. And that is because I was in my pride at that moment. I was believing what I was saying so strongly that I didn't see that I was still doing what I was saying that I was fixing. You see? I don't know if that's a good example. But it takes for me to humble myself enough to get perspective on the whole thing, to be able to see that I am actually still being a codependent mindset, even as I write a book talking about trying to heal codependency. It's because you get caught in that cycle where you think that your way is the right way, and so you don't see another way. And then that's just it's a cycle that it keeps you stuck. And that's the biggest sin right there in pride, is that ultimately you hurt yourself. You're not helping anything. You're just holding yourself back when you're pumping yourself up, because it's a pump up, crash down, pump up, crash down. And then your whole life is pumping yourself up and having other people crash you down. And where is your ability to control your own narrative, your own happiness, your own steadiness? You know, it doesn't lie in that pride cycle. It lies in understanding that temperance, that humility, that seeing your own imperfections is beautiful. It's beautiful, and that's the most valuable part, is recognizing what it is that you don't feel proud about and being okay with that too. I hope this wasn't too much of a jumbled mess. It's a hard one to figure out how to articulate, because, like what I was saying about the 7 deadly sins and how they all tie into pride. And the reason they tie into pride is the reason that I was just saying. Like lust. I describe lust as stealing energy from other people. And what I meant by that was, you can desire something, you could want it really badly, but when you get to the point where you're lusting after someone, you're trying to control it. You're trying to take it for yourself. It's a stealing, kind of selfish, kind of piggish behavior, and ultimately it's because you think you know best and you only care about what it is, what you want, and you don't care about how you hurt the other person or how they're affected, which is extraordinarily prideful way to be, isn't it? My way or the highway. It sounds like pride to me. you know Same goes with any of the other sins that I had talked about. It's all the same thing. It winds around in a big circle. I think ultimately the most important thing to realize is that every person is flawed. Every person has things to feel, some sense of esteem about. Like, everyone has that. Whatever your personal talent is, or the thing is that you're good at, it doesn't matter what it is, that starts to define the human being that is you. And when you kill it by listening to outside influences and reacting to that just to get that feeling of adoration from others, instead of being true to who it is you are, if you're not being true to that because you're trying to cater, it's just, it's never going to end up in a satisfying way to behave that way. It just isn't, because you're always going to be chasing, just like a hamster on a wheel, that feeling of self-satisfaction or gratification from other people. And trust me, they don't consistently give it. So it's always going to be a little bit of a letdown. You know, it's best to learn how to pump yourself up all by yourself. Figure out what it is that makes you light up from the inside out and feel good. Do that. Do it. Do it. Even if it's sitting making a video while you're on vacation in the parking lot. That's the only quiet place I could find once again was my car. And it's quite early. It's only 6 in the morning. But I realize on vacation with my kids, there's no time to talk. I got plenty of time to think. So I'm grateful for that. Might not post this one because it ran a bit long and it seems kind of jumbled. So I might redo it, but I might not too, because I don't want to be too proud about the damn thing. I just want to get the message out. Thank you.